Welcome to In Her Voice. My name is Kelly Covert, and I am passionate about helping women live authentically by listening to their inner voice. Get ready to be inspired by women of all walks of life that have set aside their should-bes and not good enoughs and are standing in their true voice, the voice of wisdom that each and every one of us has inside. Hello everyone, this is Kelly. Happy holidays. I'm so glad that you decided to join me today, and I have kind of a special treat for you, just a little solo episode from me, and I just feel strongly that I want to talk about today the end of the year. And I don't know about you, but as a recovering perfectionist, this is typically what the last week of the year looks like for me. Like, I'm super excited. It's almost New Year's, and I don't make resolutions anymore, but I do really take the beginning of the year, the beginning of a month, the beginning of a week. I take those seriously, and I really enjoy having a whole new thing to start, right? I'm really, really good at starting things. And I get excited about that. And I spend a lot of time picking out a new journal and setting my intentions and all of the things, right? But often, and this is because I'm so great at starting things, at the end of a year, I can feel a little melancholy. Sometimes I take a look at the year and I think, instead of counting off my wins, instead of taking time to acknowledge what I have accomplished, I get into this place of like, well, I didn't do that, and I didn't do that, and I said I was going to do this, and all of the things, and it can kind of pull me down, and I'm pretty sure that I'm not the only one like that. And I'm pretty sure that that's why my heart is telling me to share this, because usually when that happens for me, it is for someone. And so if you are listening to this and this is you, this is for you, from my heart to yours. And I want you to know, number one, that you're not alone, that the end of the year is hard and that it can be confusing. I feel like in this world of personal development, of self-help, of being self-aware and trying to be on this path of like knowing who you are and honoring that and loving yourself, that it can be really confusing to say, I love myself fully now, and to want to set goals to change yourself. And this is a question that I struggle with. How do you balance those out? How do you understand when you can love yourself enough to want to change versus changing because you don't love yourself? Do you see what I'm getting at? They're two different sides of the same coin, really, because it still involves change. It still involves doing something different or wanting something different. And yet it's coming from a different place. And so this last week of the year can be a challenge if that is confusing to you, because you might be setting your goals from a place of, well, this is where I am now and this is what needs to be different. And that doesn't always feel great, because in that doing, in that goal setting plan, if you will, it's like you have to pick out all of the things that you don't like about yourself that you want to change. And that's really hard to do while honoring your worthiness and while loving yourself. And I share this because I struggle with this. This year, especially the last 5 months of this year, has been interesting. And I think in the past I would have called them hard months, but they have been challenging, but it hasn't been hard. It's just been different than what I expected. And as I look over the last few months, I can think about all of the things that I didn't do that I said I was going to do, or the things that didn't work out in the way that I thought that they were going to work out, or the things that I didn't follow through on. Or I can use what I learned over these last 5 months to give me clarity on how I should be setting goals in 2019, on how I should be loving myself going forward from this place. And I just wanted to share with you guys this because I think that it's important to understand we're all on this path together. We all have a path of learning from our failures, of understanding what we need, of understanding who we are better so we can move forward, so we can want something different, so we can allow ourselves to change, and all the while love ourselves while we do that. And as I was thinking about this, I was like, well, what are some of the things that I can do to shift my perspective, to pull myself up out of this melancholy feeling of maybe failure or mistake or regret, and be able to look forward with a feeling of empowerment, with a feeling of compassion and of love for the year that I've been through. How can I do that? And just to be really clear with you, I'll be super transparent. Starting in September, I did not put as much energy into my coaching business as I wanted to. And there were a lot of reasons for that. But the main reason was I put a lot of energy into other things in my life. And because I am a person of many passions, I realize that I have to be realistic about how much energy I have and about where I'm spending that energy. And so I could look at the failures or look at my lack of motivation in my business, the lack of programs that I put out or people that I coached, and I could say that that's a failure. But that's doing myself a disservice, because what I did in the other areas of my life has been amazing and fulfilling and joy-bringing and exciting. And what I've learned from these last 5 months is, number one, yes, I love doing a lot of things, and a lot of things bring me joy. And I do not have to apologize about that. I don't have to look like anybody else. And I love that feeling. That's a new feeling for me. This sort of understanding that I am who I am, and I can run my business the way that I want to run it. And if that looks like an ebb and a flow, that's okay. And if that looks like a time of hibernation, which I feel like I'm coming out of, that's okay. That's okay. Because I am so passionate about so many things, because I do so many things, I have to allow that flow. And I have to give myself grace for not basically for not being 3 people. Really, that's what it comes down to. If I were 3 people, I could do everything that I want to do exactly the way that I want to do it. But I'm not 3 people. I'm one person, and I have 24 hours in the day, and I have only so much energy to put out. And so my lesson for this year, as I look back on it, is I have to honor my energy. I have to be realistic about how much of it there is and about how much time I'm spending in each area. And I have to be honest with myself about the results that come when I spend not as much time in one area as in another. I mean, I believe in manifesting. I believe in abundance. And I also believe that you have to do the work. And if you're not doing the work, you're not going to see the results. You can't just put something up on a vision board and hang it up on your wall and look at it every day and have things happen. You still have to put in the time. You still have to take the action to get the stuff done. And, sometimes when you realize that you haven't taken that action, it can feel bad. You feel like you failed. There's regret there. And so my 3 intentions for this end of the year time have really helped shift my perspective on what is important and how to take these last few months of the year that I might have been disappointed with and really use what I've learned. So the first intention is grace. Give yourself grace. You are not perfect, and you do not have to be perfect. Every time you fail, every time you make a mistake, that is an opportunity for you to practice compassion for yourself, on yourself, in a way that you would do for the people that you love. Grace can cover that feeling of regret. Grace can help you let go of the guilt. Grace can help you pull yourself up off of the ground after a failure. And when you give yourself grace, when you practice that on yourself, you are practicing compassion. And I believe that every single one of you have deep compassion for those in your life, for those around you, for situations that you see around the world that pull in your heart. What I'm saying is have the intention to give yourself that. Let grace cover every mistake, every failure, every time that you said you were going to do something and that you didn't do it. Give yourself grace. The second intention is wisdom. Once the grace has covered the feeling of regret and has washed that away, because I do believe that it does that. And once you have given yourself the compassion and for maybe forgiven yourself for not following through, use your wisdom to learn. So just like I was sharing, what I learned this year is that there's only one me. And if I want to be passionate and have many things in my life that I'm doing, I have to be realistic about how much energy and how much time I'm spending in each one and what the results are going to look like. That is the wisdom that I have gained from this year. And you know what? That wisdom is helping me create new goals for myself in 2019 that are going to feel better and that are going to motivate me and that I can actually accomplish. These are not just goals that I've pulled out of the sky anymore. I'm using what I've learned about who I am, about what I need to do what I want to do, right? And about how much energy I have to do that, to craft goals going forward in 2019 that make sense for me. And oftentimes we set goals for ourselves that aren't even our goals. I mean, how many times have you said, I want to lose this much weight? And that's just coming from a place of you feel like you're not at where you should be. And I use should really strongly here. Even though you're healthy, even though you're exercising, even though you're eating right. How do you decide how much you should weigh? For a long time, I did that based on this dumb thing that I learned in college. That's not me anymore. So sometimes you have to use the wisdom to let go of the goals that aren't even yours. Because I tell you what, if you have goals that aren't yours, they're really hard to accomplish because there's no drive there. There's no inner desire to do that if you don't believe in it. So you use grace to forgive yourself. You use wisdom to learn, to understand, to see what you need to move forward. And then you choose joy. I mean, really, you guys, we have so much to be joyful about. Here we are. Most of you are listening to this while you drive your car or while you're in your beautiful, warm house. You are alive. You just had a wonderful holiday. You're looking forward to a whole new year of your life with lots of exciting things. You spent time with family around you. We have so much to be joyful for. And it's really interesting because I was listening lately to a podcast, the Armchair Expert podcast, which is basically with movie stars. It's just fun and entertaining. And I was listening to the episode with Kristen Annie Bell, who I just adore. I think she's funny and I think she's really interesting and smart. And she was talking about how in her life, she feels like the options are happiness or suffering. And she always chooses happiness. So maybe if that means that someone got a part that she was up for, she's going to choose to be happy for the person who got the part instead of suffering over the fact that she didn't. And as I was listening, I was like, yeah, that's so simple and it's so difficult. But really, when it comes down to it, we have the ability to choose joy. We can find the things in our life to be happy about. And likewise, we can find things to not be happy about. That's easy. It's easy to do that. We have to be intentional about choosing joy. And that's what I'm doing this last week of the year. And I hope that you can take even a little bit of this and use it in your life. Use it to lift your spirits this last week and also to create goals and dig into your desires for 2019 in a way that is compassionate to yourself and in a way that is doable for you. Because I believe that we all have inspired potential. I believe that you can do what you want to do. And in order to do that, we have to be smart. So, grace, wisdom, and joy. Those are the 3 intentions that I'm going to be using for the rest of the year. And I am so grateful that you can be here to share those with me. I also want to let you know that I am digging in again to inspired potential. And I want you to mark your calendars for January 14th because I am going to be starting a new 5 days of journaling challenge on potential. The sign up is not ready yet, but it will be. So keep your eye out. And if you aren't already, make sure you're on my newsletter because then you can get the first information about when the sign up is open. So to do that, you can click on over to kellycovert.com/newsletter, and that will lead you right to the sign up to be on my newsletter. I want you guys to remember, no matter what your year looked like, no matter how many accomplishments you had, no matter how many goals you met, no matter how many failures you had, even if you feel like you didn't do one single thing right this year, I want you to know right now that you are worthy.